Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the one and only Maverick podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick, and today we are rolling out the red carpet. We have Mr. Rogelio Almeida. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and so grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Luis. I appreciate it.
Not at all. I know you're super busy. You've got a lot of projects going on. We're going to dive into that. But before we do, maybe for the 1% of the people out there that don't know about you, I want to hear about where you grew up and maybe what kind of things you were into as a kid, and then kind of what kind of projects you're working on right now. What's your passion, basically? So just give us a brief intro.
Wow, that is a great question. Well, I was born in California. But at the age of 3, my parents moved to Mexico, back to their homestay in Zacatecas, and that's where I grew up. I grew up from age 3 to age 15 in Mexico, and of course, my dad being a musician, he played the bass, and he still does, and he was also a singer in a band called Grupo Verano, and cool. I grew up in a musicians family. My uncles were musicians. My cousins are musicians. I mean, so it was a lot of artists, like music always growing up. So there's always been I started playing drums, when I was a kid too. And then when I moved to the States at age 15, to Duncan, Oklahoma, I started, in a band. That was my first official job, like actually getting paid in the States.
In a band?
Yeah. In a band, in a Mexican band, Okay. I was 15 and we would go to cantinas and, clubs, here in Oklahoma City. So it was interesting to, I was the drummer, in the background, and, we were, playing at a very random, places, Friday, Saturday, sometimes even Sundays. And then I would go back to school on Monday.
What was the name of the band?
When it started out, it was Capaz. And then, of course, when Capaz de la Sierra came out, they changed their name to Eclipse Musical. And it was funny that when I left the band, because I joined the army, I went, and served 4 years in the military, and I did 2 tours of combat in Iraq. But funny enough, when my dad came to the States, like around 2000, I want to say 2004, 2005, he joined that same band.
Okay.
So cool. That was pretty fun. Funny.
Tell me about you as a kid. Were you outgoing? Were you shy? Obviously, were you forced into the music, or was that you wanting to be in the band, or how did that work out? I
wanted to be in a band so much. Since I could remember, I would get on stage. So I was not shy at all. I would get on stage, I would, say hello to everyone. I was very active. I was very outgoing. I was very I had a lot of energy. So I would always, be running around. I would always wanted to learn, new things. Played many instruments, even though I didn't learn to play any but the drums.
Yeah, cool. What about in school? Were you the same way?
I was a little bit also outgoing, and I was very friends with everybody, with my teachers, and I was actually a pretty good student. Like I had nothing but A's and B's, and I would always get into the when there were festivals, like in Mexico, there's a lot of festivals for Mother's Day and for where they have Independence Day and all these other festivals. I would always be the one volunteering to be I want to be in your play, or I want to be in this musical act.
Awesome.
So I was always very involved in all those things.
Cool. I dig it. So let's see, you're in Duncan, Oklahoma, and you're in school, and all of a sudden you just decided to go serve. How does that kind of come into play? Because I've seen a lot of cool pictures. You posted a lot of cool pictures, and man, you look super young with this big old gun. It was the real deal, right? You had to actually go serve, right?
Yeah, it was crazy because I was 17 actually when I joined. So my sister, who was my custodian at the time, I guess that's what you call it, or custody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she had to sign up for me as a guardian. There you go, the guardian.
Oh, okay.
And but yeah, I signed up at 17, and as soon as I graduated in May 2001, and no, wait, that was 2002. Yeah, 2002. And then I joined immediately, like that same summer. So I was already in June in basic training, and I turned 18 in basic training.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so then that same year, everything kind of started getting, very, kind of started, in Iraq, Kuwait and Iraq. And my unit got deployed to Kuwait that December of 2002. And by early 2003, we were already in Kuwait, and of course, the war started in March, and we were. I was in a battalion, mechanized artillery battalion, and so
Wow.
we were kind of like the ones right behind the infantry, the Marines, and so yeah, it was real, man. That was something very
It sounds
intense.
pretty intense. Yeah, I was gonna say. So put me in your shoes, like the first night when you're there, different country. Like I don't know if you've traveled a lot up to that point, but I know at that age I hadn't traveled a lot. So, like, what was running through your head that first night? Were you like, "Oh crap, what did I get myself into?" What were you thinking at that point?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It was like that. I had not traveled out of Mexico, so when I get to Kuwait, it was hot, sandy, sandstorms all the time. But yeah, man, it's just a whole different culture over there, and of course, we were there to do a mission, and that's what we did. We did a mission to liberate, the Iraqi people, and it was, of course, I'm very, I mean, you know me, I'm a pacifist. I don't like conflict. I
Yeah.
evade it. So that was
So what
very
made you do it?
difficult
Like, why did you decide?
because
Like,
at that time there was no sight of war. Back a year
okay,
earlier, everything was, we were, a country, with no front wars anywhere. And
yeah.
then all of a sudden, like this thing came out of nowhere. I mean, of course, it started escalating. I guess I should have watched the news more often, which now I
Man,
do every day.
yeah. But I bet you've got some awesome memories. I know I've seen some awesome pictures. What would you
Yeah.
say is one of the greatest things that you've learned from that experience?
I think just to be, understanding with other cultures, to be able to um, um, just be able to understand the struggle. Just like you and I have struggles here, they also have struggles over there. So just learning their culture, kind of just seeing that at least we were there to do something, and that it helped a little
Uh-huh.
bit. At least while we were there, we did a lot of humanitarian missions. We would take water to a lot of villages. We um, fixed power grids. We did rebuild hospitals. I mean, there were just a lot of humanitarian missions that we did. So
Cool.
that's what I take home. That's what I take for for myself.
Yeah, it sounds like it was really rewarding. So, hey, thanks for the service. Really appreciate that. I know I couldn't do it. So, anytime that I hear people, in the service and getting, dedicated to the country and all that, that's awesome because, it definitely takes a very special person to be able to do that. You have to be really strong willed, independent. So, hats off to you for that, man. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Tell me, so at what point did you get interested? Was it photography first or video first? Like, how did that come about?
It was video from an early age. When I was still back in Mexico, my sisters had already moved to the States to do to go to high school, and so they would go back to Mexico during the summer. And my sister Hilda took a camcorder, like um, those like super VHS camcorders,
Like the big ones, like over the
like
shoulder?
not the
Not
big
the
big
big
ones,
ones?
but
Okay.
the ones that came with the compact VHS. I don't know if you remember
Okay.
those ones.
Yeah, for sure.
You, you would still have to use an adapter. You would still play them on a VHS player, right?
Yeah, but it had the smaller
And
cassette, right?
it had the smaller cassette, yeah. So it was a smaller handy cam,
Okay.
and I just fell in love with it. I would take it everywhere, start filming. A lot of these events, festivals in elementary school and middle school in Mexico, and so I would just take it everywhere on a lot of trips that we did in school. at home. I would just filters. I would start messing with lights, and then eventually I begged my dad to get another VHS player so that I would be able to cut between the two.
You were
And
starting to edit with the
so
different
I
VHS.
so I started, yeah. So even though I didn't have a concept of what editing was,
Yeah.
it came to me like, oh well, I can mix this tape with this tape, and I can kind of make them onto one, So it was, yeah, from an early age, I started kind of messing with editing without knowing that I was editing already. So
Wow, that's cool. And what would you do with these videos? Would you like show them off to your family members, or was it just like kind of yours, like to keep, or what did you do with the videos?
no, I would make sure that everyone at home saw them.
Awesome. So you had
I
like a
would show
premiere,
them.
like this is the latest video.
Yeah, we would get together and be like, okay, you guys ready? This is the latest one. This is my latest
Awesome.
movie.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was there a progression there? So you were you like getting deeper and deeper to where you're like, okay, now maybe I want to film a movie. I want to invite my friends, or did anything evolve like that?
I think at that point I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I was just all over the place. I was being acting in plays and doing videotaping, and also wanting to be a musician, and at one point I wanted to draw. I was drawing. I mean, it was just
Okay.
many things, and it wasn't until I was in the military that I started actually took a a camcorder, to my second deployment in 2005, and I videotaped hours and hours of footage, and that's when I started really falling in love with actual like video, and what you could capture, and the faces of people, and kind of going in depth, and into like their stories, and into what they were doing. And so I would started filming that, and there's an unfinished documentary still that I
Oh
still
yeah.
haven't finished on that.
Nice.
But
Some secret
um,
archives.
one day, my
Yeah.
friend,
Cool.
that we'll premiere that.
I like it. So, let me tell you. So, as a kid, if I would have asked you, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What would you have said? Musician? Would you have said, I want to make movies? What do you think?
Musician,
Musician? Okay.
musician all the way. Yeah, I would go with my band on tour. Like sometimes they would play like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like at different places, and I would just go with him. And of course, I'll be like falling asleep, by 11 midnight. But I just love the experience, with everybody, the musicians, touring with them. The music, of course. Now always I'm a big music fan. I love all kinds of music. From Mexican music to salsa to electronic music to house to bachata. I mean, you name it. It's. I just love music. It's. I think it's great. It's the greatest invention ever.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Music is definitely one of my vices for sure. I wanted to ask
Music is
you,
life.
like, so between photography and videography, when you like at this point, I kind of consider you as a director, right? Like you've directed films, you've directed music videos. If you had to choose between photography or video, what's it going to be?
Video,
Video?
filmmaking.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh
When you're
yeah,
making a
yeah, for
video, how
sure.
does that process work? Like explain to the people, you as a director, do you have like a vision in your mind? Do you storyboard it? Like what's your process?
Yeah, so to me, it comes very, of course, me having a musician's background, and also being a drummer. Drummers and the bass line are kind of like the ones that lead music, right?
Yeah.
So I have a pretty good understanding of music beats and all of that. So when it comes to music videos, or even like filmmaking, when I'm scoring a film, beats and pause and all those things are very important to me. And so I visualize the music. I sometimes even break it down, like in the tempo, and that's also how I edit. Um, and so I try to storyboard as much as I can. Um, so I'll first, I'll read the lyrics. I'll try to understand the lyrics. I'll, of course, consult with the writer or the artist, so that we can collaborate. I'm always down to collaborate with the artist. I'm not like, no, this is my vision. This is what we're gonna do. No, I always like to get their feedback and work as a team. to complete their vision, because ultimately it's their music video, is their face. And so I always like to get their feedback, talk to them constantly and make sure that we kind of understand, the vision. And I'm always about storytelling. So in most of my music videos, there's always got to be like a beginning, middle, and end.
Okay.
So in a way, it's kind of like a small short film. And that's kind of how I visualize all music videos, short films, feature films, everything like
Got it.
that. It has to have a beginning, middle, and end. And timing is very important. Back to the musician's background. Having that timing, it's all about timing.
Cool. What was your first movie like that you actually like directed and created?
So the first movie that I directed is called Yvette, and that was back in 2007. We actually filmed that in Mexico, and we just hired everybody, mom, dad, brothers, sisters,
Wow.
and that was even before I went to film school, because at that time, I couldn't afford film school, and I read everywhere, you don't need to go to film school to make a film, so I didn't, and
Nice.
I just went ahead and directed and shot and edited, and I even did a couple of the music, the scoring, with sampling. Of course, I did. I didn't play keys or anything like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I hired amazing, composer from Mexico. He was able to compose a lot of the music. I would give him like scenes, and then I would just tell him, kind of like the direction that I wanted, the feeling, and then he would send me back samples of the work, and I would just be like, yeah, I love it. Let's just keep going the same
Wow.
direction.
That's very
And
cool.
and that was even before I went to film school. That was back in 2007, and then I went to film school after finishing that film in 2008, 2009, and I graduated from Oklahoma City Community College. That's a film school, great film school program that they have here in Oklahoma City. It's really affordable too, and I had the opportunity to work with Emmy Award-winning directors, and of course, they have their Academy Award winner Grace Frederickson, who was one of the producers for The Godfather
Shout
one
out.
and two.
Big
Yes,
shout out.
amazing. Yeah,
That's
huge shout
amazing.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's an Oklahoma treasure for sure. And then after that, just started doing a lot of short films, and then I started getting called to do music videos, and then I've never done music videos, so that was also very interesting, to jump from feature films, because that was my first big work, and then doing
Yeah.
music videos, and then doing TV commercials, corporate videos. So I've done
So you,
over 100 TV commercials, over 50 music videos, and I don't know, like maybe like 20 short films.
wow. Okay. So this first film, is this the one that went on to go to music festivals, or is that a different film that I'm thinking about?
Yes, so most of my films I've submitted to a lot of film festivals, and they played everywhere, from California to Chicago to San Antonio,
Wow.
Texas, Mexico, of course. And I've had some short films I played in Europe, in France, and Spain as well.
What's the process to get into the film festivals? Like you just have to submit it and hope they pick it up, or you have to pitch it, or
Exactly.
how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, so once you finish your film, there's back in the day when I started, you actually had to send a paper. You have to actually send a letter.
Hmm.
Before technology and social media was around, and eventually some platforms came around without a box, and then now Film Freeway is like the standard for online film festivals, or just film festivals in general.
Okay.
And so yeah, you submit your film, you pay a fee like $20 to $40 for a short film, and like $40 to $80 for a feature film. Like if I make a film, I can send it to Sundance directly, or I can send it to the Toronto Film Festival, Telluride, or
Wow.
there's everything's online. You can send any project to them. Of course, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But then there's a committee, a judge committee that would deliberate whether you get accepted or not, and that's you have to be ready for rejection. Filmmaking is not for everybody. Not all, out of maybe 100 festivals that I've submitted, I only gotten accepted to maybe like half of that. It's always, you have to keep pushing, and you have to keep going
Yeah.
all
But
the
it's
time.
kind of like music, right? Like it just takes one, And if that one takes
Exactly.
off, then man, you're off to the races, right? So I know you
Exactly.
had some
Yeah.
success. So I know you're kind of being a little humble right here. So let us know about some of those festivals and some of the awards that you've won. Maybe a project that you want to shout out. Definitely let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 2009, Yvette was the first Spanish language film to play at deadCENTER Film Festival here,
Wow.
and
Okay.
it won. It won the festival, Audience Choice Award, and that was kind of like the first time that I realized, well, I guess I'm a filmmaker. I can actually make maybe do this, for a living.
Yeah.
And then after that, all the other short films, I got a lot of uh, awards for cinematography, which is kind of my favorite. If I could choose something in filmmaking, I would say cinematography, being behind the camera, working with the lights, the lenses. That's kind of my favorite thing. That I would say that cinematography is my forte.
Okay. So for newbies like me, there's a distinction there between that and the director. Then the director's kind of calling the shots. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So there's basically like a hierarchy in filmmaking. You have your, of course, your executive producers, which are the ones that make, give you the money. Then your producers, which are the ones that can facilitate, locations or even hook you up with an actor or a great location or they have a connection, right? And then you have your director, which is the one with the vision. And sometimes you have writer directors, which are the ones who write and also direct. I don't know if you're like me. I'm basically just everything: writer, director, producer, cinematographer, editor. I kind of do it all, and I kind of follow the steps of the great ones like Robert Rodriguez. To me, he's like one of the most rounded filmmakers.
Yeah. He's
Of
incredible.
course, Oh yeah, and actually, I highly recommend. His book that he wrote, even like nowadays, he wrote it back in the late '90s. It's called Rebel Without a Crew, and in
Okay.
that book, he basically tells the story on how he shot El Mariachi for $7,000 and how he sold his body
Oh,
to
wow.
science to get the money. Um, and now he says that he could even make it with $700
Jeez.
because with technology now,
Yeah.
um, it's even more affordable. So yeah, so filmmaking to me, I think is one of the most rewarding and more accelerating and most intense, stressing, jobs out there because you have so many different departments and so many different areas that you have to always be constantly thinking, and that's one of the jobs of the director to kind of keep that vision together. Then under the director, you have your director of photography, um, your sound department, your art department, your costume department, wardrobe, makeup, and all
Okay.
that. And of course, then after you've wrapped filming, then you move on to post production, which is editing, sound mixing, scoring. Which is
Yeah.
also one of the things that I like the most. Like I like to sit down with my composers and by no means I like to micromanage, but I like to kind of work hand in hand with them because, again, musicians background, I like to
Yeah.
be
And it's your
involved.
vision too, right? So depending on the music and everything, like a scene could be completely different, right? Like if you think about a
Exactly,
scary
exactly.
movie or something, like the sort of music in the background that's leading up to the point to where you're about to get scared, like that could
Yeah,
be completely different based on the music. So you definitely
exactly.
want to follow.
And it could go like a whole different direction. Like you can turn maybe a drama into a comedy. I
Yeah.
was just watching recently. I don't know if you watched the Zack Snyder's Justice League,
I haven't checked
and
it out. No.
they basically the first film. Of course, Zack Snyder hired Junkie XL to do the score for that film, but when he left the project, they brought in Joss Whedon to direct it, which he directed the Avengers and a lot of Marvel films. He brought in a more um, comedy like Avengers type score,
Okay.
which sounds completely different. So like if you watch Joss Whedon's Justice League versus Zack Snyder's Justice League with the score from Junkie XL, I mean it's
This is
day and
completely
night. I mean
different.
completely different. Like this
Yeah.
is you're looking at the same scene and the sound just makes it so much different. I mean, it sounds so much different and better.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Top 5 movies.
Oh, this is hard. Not really. Any Tarantino film,
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Inglourious Bastards, Um, I would say Amores Perros and Cronos from Guillermo del Toro.
Okay. Man, that was
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
You had it.
yeah.
What do you think about Scorsese?
Oh, wow. You know, he's right now here in Oklahoma filming.
No way.
Uh,
Really?
yeah, he's filming right now with Leo DiCaprio, nonetheless.
Wow. Here in
He's
Oklahoma.
filming in Oklahoma, filming Killers of the Flowery Moon, which is a story about a massacre that happened in Osage County. And so they actually were starting to film last year, but then the pandemic started, so they had to hold productions.
Sure.
And now that we have also another soundstage production studio, you know, the OkCine is no more. So we have now a
I saw that.
Surf Prairie Media Studios,
Yep.
which is more than a 5,000 square soundstage,
Wow.
state of the art technology. And so more, I can definitely see that more productions, Netflix productions and other, you know, platforms will be coming to the state to film. So there's right
Awesome.
now, it's like the time to be a filmmaker in Oklahoma.
Cool. Have you been able to tour that new facility?
No, not yet. They just literally opened up about a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, we're just hopefully after this whole film. I mean, oh, of course, you know, I'm also running a film festival
Yeah. We need
on
to
the
dive into
side,
that too. Yeah.
and then the film institute with the students, and then of course I'm also making my films. So it's been just very very busy right now. But yeah, definitely want to tour their space. It's amazing.
Cool. All right. Well, let's segue. So you brought up the festival. So you being ambitious, you just decided to build a festival from the ground up, right?
I got tired.
And
I
it's
got
been
tired
growing
of
year after year.
yeah, I got tired of getting rejected at other film festivals. So, hey, I'll make a film festival where I have my films every single year without nobody telling me that I can't
I
have my
like
films
it.
there. No, I'm just
Genius.
kidding.
And then profit.
You build the fabric, right? And they'll
Awesome.
come.
So
You
how did
build it
that
and
come
they'll come.
about? What gave you the inspiration to do that?
So yeah, it was pretty much after getting rejected from a lot of film festivals, and also because I would go to a lot of these film festivals, and they would not have Latinos in film. Like there was no Latino representation. Even nowadays, I mean, there's still we're still fighting every day to
Yeah.
get represented, and even in Hollywood, in films especially. And so that's kind of how it started. I saw the necessity of having more representation in film, and I was working at Tango PR. With the shout out to Jorge, Brenda, and Omar. Who were instrumental at that time, and of course, I got help from Lance McDaniel, the executive director at deadCENTER, which is the
Awesome.
biggest film festival in the state. And I couldn't have done it without them. I mean, it was a lot of help from everybody. We had a lot of volunteers. And the first year, we only had like about 25 films submitted, and it wasn't a lot, but it was a start. It was something. We planted that seed, and that's all we needed. And and it's been growing ever since.
So first
Now we're
festival, how
going.
many guests?
We had about 100, maybe 100 and some change the first
Okay.
year, and of course, we had Great Frederickson. He was our godfather, literally
Awesome. I
the
like it.
godfather in the first one, and then the second one is just went from there, and eventually now we're going in our seventh annual
Wow.
OkCine Latino Film
7
Festival.
already. That's incredible.
Seven already. This is
Yeah.
our 7th year, and of course, the pandemic will not stop us. That was early on. We discussed, even if we have to go virtual, we'll still
Yep.
make it happen, and that's why we decided to go virtual this year. And I know a lot of places are starting to open up, but it was just kind of too late to kind of go back to the in person
Did you ever
setup.
consider a drive-in? That would have been kind of cool too.
We considered the driving, but it was just the logistics of it, and then just wanting to actually go to a broader audience
Okay.
by going virtual.
Yeah.
I think that's just even much better, by having a broader audience going virtual.
Cool. Are you able to speak to some of the films that are going to be featured this year, or is that kind of a
Yes.
secret?
No, it's already out. We already announced our official selections. We had over 100 films submitted, and we
Awesome.
have 54 official selections.
Okay.
We have about 10 feature films and about 40. 6 short films, and so it is our biggest film festival yet.
Cool.
And also a quick fact and amazing fact is that this is the first time that we got in over 40% of Latina filmmakers, so Latina directors.
Oh, wow.
42% of Latina filmmakers.
Wow. That's incredible. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
that's really
It
good.
just
Yeah,
worked out
Latinas
that way, or how did it just work out that way?
yeah,
Yeah.
it just worked out that way. I mean, it's Latinos are kicking butt everywhere.
Yeah. Awesome.
And you don't see that in a lot of film festivals. It's we're not only a Spanish language film festival, but also we have one of the biggest female director representation. So we're
Cool.
really excited and proud of that for this year.
What are some of the
And
countries where those films are being sort of submitted from?
yeah, so Spain is one of the biggest film producers throughout the years, and Argentina, and of course Mexico. We also have films from Canada, from Costa Rica, Uruguay, Panama, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Brazil as well. We also
Nice.
accept films from Brazil and Portugal.
Okay.
So we also have Brazilian and Portuguese films as well.
Cool. And it's a multi-day festival, right? Like there's several
It
days.
is, yes, correct. It's a multi-day. It's going to
What
be
are
from
those dates?
April 23rd to April 25th, and it's going to be virtual at okcinelatino.eventive.org. And of course, you can follow us on social media at OkCine Latino in all of our platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at OkCine Latino.
Okay.
It's spelled
So,
OkCine Latino.
okay. So if people want to get a ticket, they just go to that website and they'll be able to get a ticket for the festival.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we have 3 levels. Of course, we have our festival pass, just one single pass for everything. You get to see 50 for amazing films. It's $40 for that, and then we also have our dual pass for $20, which you can get to see 2 feature films or 2 shorts programs. Each shorts programs have about 1 to 8 films, or you can choose to see a feature film and a shorts program. So you can kind of pick and choose. And of course, we have our VIP donation ticket, which is $100, and that's only if you want to, help and support, the festival. It's the same thing as a $40 pass, but it just gives you, that extra, like, hey, I help the festival. I'm supporting the arts.
Yeah, I like it. And any special guests that you can tell us about, or
Yes. So we actually having our honorary padrino this year, which is Lance McDaniel.
cool.
And
Shout out to him.
shout out to Lance McDaniel. Yeah, he's always been very supportive of the arts, the music, and of course, he was the director at deadCENTER for many, many years. So of course, we wouldn't be here without his guidance and support throughout all these years. And so it just made sense to give him, this honor this year. And so, yeah, huge shout out to Lance McDaniel, our honorary padrino. And and of course, we'll be having a lot of Q&As coming up with some of the filmmakers from Spain, from Argentina, from Mexico. And so, being virtual, we're kind of used to this. Now we're actually recording this interview at remote locations. I'm at home, you're at home, and that's kind of what 2020 taught us. If anything, technology and video and audio are the thing of the future, and us going virtual this year, it definitely goes to show you that.
Will that, you think, allow for some interaction? Maybe in the past, being in a big audience, maybe you wouldn't be able to ask as many questions, but are you planning to have some interaction and maybe like a chat going on or something?
Yeah, absolutely. We're planning on having some kind of like watch along parties, or even just like on our Facebook lives that we'll be doing during the festival dates. And of course, we'll be doing some post screenings and post Q&As with some of the award-winning filmmakers, because our nominations are actually going out tomorrow morning, and then our awards are going to be going out on April 25th, that same Sunday. So the last day of the festival, we'll be announcing our winners. We have 19 categories in our festival, from best sound, music, cinematography, director, editor, screenplay, and of course, like we have so many amazing judges, and huge shout out to them. Greg Coleman was our
Oh
lead
yeah,
judge this year.
cool. Shout out
Yes,
Greg.
absolutely. Yeah, shout out to Greg, and of course, we have judges. We have Melissa Su Lopez, Eduardo Villasana, Dr. Robert Mather, and also Lemuel Bardegues from OCCC. And yeah, it's just a big community of filmmakers and film lovers. You don't have to be a filmmaker to be part of OkCine Latino. So, like, if you're wanting to get into the film festival, send us an email, send us a message, and we'll find a way to, we're always looking for volunteers and help. So
Yeah,
we can get all the
incredible,
help we can
man.
get.
Yeah, congratulations on all the success. I wish you nothing but the best. I know it's going to keep growing and growing year after year. What's like the deadline for people to get their tickets? If people want to go, like they need to, it's coming up. It's right around the corner. So when is the
Yeah.
deadline for the ticket?
So the festival starts the 23rd, and so they can actually buy the tickets now or wait until the 23rd, or they can even buy tickets the 24th or the 25th. And
Okay.
then once they unlock a film on Eventive on the platform, they have 24 hours to watch the film. So think of it as a rental.
Oh, so it's kind of at your own pace then? You're kind
Yeah,
of,
at your own pace.
oh,
It's gonna be
wow.
on demand. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's think of it as, oh, I'm gonna go to Netflix, and then you
Oh,
have
that's
all the
cool.
films that you can choose from. We will have feature films, documentaries, student short films, or just Latino short films. We have categories for U.S. Latino short films or Spain and Latin America short films, and so you're able to see kind of your own pace and what you want to
That's cool.
see. And of course, once you unlock your film or your program, your shorts program, you have 24 hours to watch that
Cool. I like that. Yeah, because we're all used to like on demand. Like when I talk to
on
kids,
demand.
like you guys do not know the struggle about having to wake up on Saturday morning to watch your favorite cartoon. And if you missed it, you missed it. Like it's not
You
like, oh,
missed
let
it.
me just go pick, an episode here. No
And I'm gonna
commercials.
binge
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
I didn't know what binge watch was. It's like now you have everything at the tip of your finger. It's crazy. Like you have
Yeah.
all these platforms and audio platforms that, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I love it. It's kind of, but we're so used to it now.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it's evolving even more, right? So I don't know if you followed like everything that's going on with AMC and people sort of betting against them and trying to short the stock and everything. But what are your thoughts there? I know that they've like released, is it King Kong, right? The latest movie, they
Yeah.
released it like in home. You can watch it at home. It's a brand new, you can watch it in theaters, but then you can also watch it, on HBO and all these platforms are sort of having like the latest movies out there. What are your thoughts around that?
I think competition is great. It's amazing. Day in and day out, releases are amazing. I think that Disney is killing us with their Premier Access,
Yeah.
but I love it. I mean, I love the competition, and I love that there's all these other platforms. I know that before the pandemic, AMC also came out with the sort of a kind of like a monthly membership. It was like a $10 membership that you could get also, and you could watch like up to like 3 or 4 movies during the month. So they kind of wanted it to compete with the streaming services, which I
Okay.
think is great. Because most of the releases, there's a window from when it comes to movie theaters, and then when it goes to streaming, and then of course to DVD and Blu-ray release. And
Yeah.
and now the pandemic has changed all that. Now you have HBO releasing films same day at the movie theaters and same day in the platform. So to me, that's amazing because now I have choices. I don't have to, oh, I have to go to the movie theater and watch the movies there. I like to have the option to, if I just want to stay home and watch the movie there, just watch it at home. Of course, like it's not going to be the same viewing experience watching, Godzilla versus King Kong on a 50, 70, 80-inch TV,
Right.
at home versus like an IMAX screen. So obviously there's um, pros and cons, but I definitely like to have the
Yeah.
options.
Not only that, I think certain films, like being in a big audience, sort of adds to the experience where you hear everybody scream at the same time. Or I remember going to Star Wars once, and I have to confess, I've never seen like all the Star Wars, so
Exactly.
I always get dinged for not watching them. But one time I went, and I didn't realize like it was like a whole deal. Like people dress up to go watch Star Wars, And then
It's an experience,
they
man.
like clap, they cheer during certain parts. Like they all stay to the ending to see if there's any like sort of clip or
Post credit
something at the
scenes.
end. Yeah. So
Same thing with the Marvel movies. It's amazing like how the fan base it's just so dedicated to franchises, and I love
yeah,
that. I love that experience. And movie theaters, I never want them to go away.
yeah.
Of
So
course,
you think
but
they'll be here to stay? It's just that people have more options, and if you want to go to the theater, you'll go. If you want to watch it at home, you watch it at home.
exactly, yeah. I think that's what the industry, because the industry gets so much money from movie theaters, and of course that's the whole industry, and not just here in the States, but in other countries. Mexico, China is like, or in India probably even bigger than the United States box office.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think movie theaters are here to stay. It's like radio. Radio never really went away, and I think radio is always going to be here. Same thing with TV, cable. I think cable is never going away, even though we have so many streaming services now.
Mm.
Um, it's just always going to be there, as a maybe not as a lesser platform, but it just again
An
another
option.
option.
Yeah. Cool. So I know the Cine festival is probably like keeping you super busy, but then you also found out time to like teach students how to like make films and do all that. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that get started? And then like what do you do like if a student goes there? What all do they learn? They learn how to film, how to edit. Tell us about that.
So thank you. That is a great question. That's probably for me the most important part of the film festival, having a film institute, the OkCine Latino Film Institute, where we teach high school age students, ages 14 to 18, sometimes even 20, because they like to come back even after they graduate high
I
school,
was
and
going
we
to ask
don't
you if I
turn them
can
away.
enroll because I need to learn how to edit too. So
Yeah, bro, let's do it. You can be our special, our special guest, um, and we do it over the weekends, and it's free. That's very important. It's free.
cool.
We of course we couldn't do this without the sponsors and partnerships that the OkCine Latino has gotten throughout the years with the help of we're under the Calle 25 at Historic Capitol Hill. Of
Okay.
course, huge shout out to Gloria Torres and Stephanie Peña, events coordinator, and of course, predecessors like Donna Cervantes and Miriam Ortega, who were there, and of course Jorge Hernandez and Brenda Tango. And it was when I was the festival that we decided to do the Film Institute. We just saw okay, so now we have a film festival. What do we need to do next? Well, we need to have like more Latino filmmakers. And how do we do that? Well, by teaching them the basics, the
Cool.
ropes, by planting that seed early on about you can be a filmmaker, everyone can be a filmmaker,
Yeah.
and by offering this program for free, and the heart of the Hispanic community in Capitol Hill. So
Cool.
we partnered up with OCCC, Capitol Hill, and the Metropolitan Library at Capitol Hill, and we're able to offer these workshops over 5 to 6 weekends on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch provided, and we teach them. Of course, I have amazing co-instructor Victor Caballero. Shout out to Victor,
Cool.
and our guest instructors every year: Juan Luna, Eli Argot, Andrew Smith from Metrotech, and Cecilia Hernandez Cromwell for Telemundo. We have them every institute every year, and they come out and they teach the students, what a professional, composer would do on a film, or if you want to go the route of broadcasting, you can also do that. If you like news, you like to be in a studio, you want to be an anchorman or anchor woman, or you want to be a reporter. So we offer all those options, and we teach the students by the end of the work of the institute that they can be filmmakers, and they are filmmakers because they actually film and shoot and edit their own short film. That's the
That's
assignment of the
incredible.
institute.
Yeah. Cool. And I
So
imagine the head count's limited, right? Like how big of a class size do you usually have?
so we cap it at 15 students every year,
Okay.
because of course we want to keep a close number of students so that we can better focus on them, and we're able to identify the ones that want to focus more on writing, directing, or filming, being behind the camera, or editing.
Yeah.
There's a student that keeps coming back. I think this is like his third year. And the first year he started acting, then the second year he started uh, writing. He like, oh, I like writing, and then he came back and is like, now I love editing,
Wow.
and now he's actually enrolled in high school in media class. So now he's even editing even more on his
Awesome.
own. So
Cool.
you see,
If
it's all about planting that seed.
I like it. I wish I would have had resources like you when I was growing up, because I just kind of
Me
picked up
too.
stuff here and there, you know? Like right now with resources like yourself, plus the internet, plus YouTube, like you can find anything on YouTube, right? Like teach yourself how to, run a software, edit, all that stuff. That's incredible.
YouTube's
So,
cool. That's how I
yeah.
learned how to do all this setup right here, bro.
Oh yeah.
This audio
Awesome.
setup
I
with the
like it.
interface and the high-end mic and everything. So, and also
Yeah.
thank you for for always supporting everything, like everything that historic Capitol Hill, Calle 25, with fiestas. I will always see you at Fiestas de las Americas and all of the events at Calle 25. So
Yeah, it's kind of how
thank you.
we met each other, just kind of working on those events. So I'm lucky that
Exactly.
our paths, sort of crossed there. Because
Yeah.
now, like, I think, because of stuff I do and because of social media and everything, I've had to teach myself photography and videography because it's so important. And now it's funny because you and I sometimes geek out about
Yeah.
gear and cameras. And
I
I'm like,
love
yo,
that.
what do you think about this camera? Or did you just see what Sony dropped or whatever? And
Yes.
now, like,
Lenses.
I can keep up with you. I know what aperture
Yeah.
means. I know what shutter speed means. Like, so if I can
Yeah.
do it, like the kids out there can definitely do it, especially if they go to your class. So that's incredible. If people want to sign up their kids, or if they want to sign up themselves, how do they do that? When is the deadline for like the next one?
So the next one, you just have to stay tuned to our social media posts because we don't actually have a a set date, but usually it's always like in February or March every
Okay.
year. And of course, they can find us. We actually have a Facebook page just for the institute, but you can find us at Oklahoma Cine Latino Film Festival on Facebook, and that's where we keep up with all of the dates. Where we'll be posting. We actually we wanted to do this last year, but the pandemic, of course, and this year we
Uh-huh.
can't. We still can't do it, but we're hoping to open and this is you're probably one of the first few people that are hearing this, but we're wanting to do more, open up the film institute to older students, not just high school students,
Cool.
because like you, I've gotten a lot of requests and a lot of people wanting to learn more about filmmaking,
I think you just called
and
me old, but I'll let you roll with it.
us older people,
Exactly.
and I think that there's a lot of interest in the community, especially like a lot of people wanting to maybe learn acting, directing, cinematography, editing, and so we're thinking about doing a sort of a film institute lab where we can have a director's lab, where we
Sweet.
would just teach for 2 days, like Saturday and Sunday. We'll just teach you for like 6 hours straight, how to become a better director, what is the role of a director, or if you want to become an editor, what do you need to get, to get started, like the basic stuff, at least, software, what kind of things do you need. So
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I think,
yeah,
if you ask any little kid right now, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you think they're going to say?
influencers,
YouTuber, yeah. Influencer,
YouTubers, yeah,
YouTuber. Like every kid wants to do that. And it's cool because now you can, right? Like there's not the
exactly,
traditional gatekeepers to do that. Like, you can start with your phone, you can start with your iPad, you can start with whatever, right? So
yeah,
it's
because
pretty,
back in the day, it was expensive to get a video camera,
yeah.
and not everybody had access to, let alone, like editing software. There was nothing like that back in the day. So now that's what I tell my students. Like, you are a filmmaker already. You have a 4K cell phone that shoots at 24 frames per second in your pocket.
Nice.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Like back in my day, like we had nothing like that. When
Yep.
I started out, we had those big old cameras, and they still shot on tape, even though it was digital. You still had to transfer it in real time. So I would have to sit there. If I shot an hour of on this camera, I would have to sit at a whole hour to transfer that video in real time. Now
Yeah.
I just shoot an hour and it transfers like in 2 minutes on my computer. It's all digital.
Yeah. And the
It's
smartphone that we
amazing.
carry has more computer processing power than what they had for the first moon landing. So
Exactly.
I always
Yeah.
feel guilty because I've got all this computer processing power and I'm just like
And
doing
I'm
goofy
here.
stuff. Like I'm just doing goofy stuff, you know?
And we're watching YouTube videos.
Exactly. Watching cat videos on YouTube.
Cat videos. Yeah. That's awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I always ask my guests, tell me one thing that most people don't know about you.
Oh, wow. I think I don't have, let's
There,
see.
it has to be something, you know, whether you eat something weird that most people don't like, or maybe like a hobby that people don't know about, you know, maybe
I
a
don't like
fear.
menudo.
You don't like menudo.
I
Oh,
don't like
wow.
menudo.
All right. Well,
And
ladies
like
and
to all
gentlemen,
my
we'd like to
Mexican.
thank you for tuning in to the Maverick podcast.
See,
No
there you go. That's
menudo.
like a no menudo. Yeah, yeah. That's like a big one. Like, I think like even my wife was like, "You don't like menudo?" I was like, "No, I don't like menudo."
Did you
Not the
have
band.
a bad experience as a kid, or you just never liked it, or what?
I think I did. You know, growing up in Mexico, you know, I remember like they would always all the weekends. My grandma and uncles, you know, would actually do it. You know, like in the backyard, literally the backyard. That's where they kept the cows.
Yeah.
So you know, seeing them how they would, you know, go from, you know, like, yeah, you know, they're walking around and now they're, you know, food. And I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. And the
Wow.
smell and everything. So, but yeah.
Cool. You're a little too close to the source, it sounds like.
Yeah. See, that's what happens when you get traumatized at an early age.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there you have it. No menudo. If you ever see him,
Yeah.
do not offer him to go eat menudo.
Yeah.
Tell
Nope.
me, what's another project that you're working on? Are you working on another movie, or you're kind of just like slammed right now with the Cine Festival, and you're kind of just focusing on that, or what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so just focusing on OkCine Latino right now, but we're actually gonna be having our premiere of Queens, my latest short film that I worked with Victor Caballero, Edna Garcia, Danny Marie, Michaeline Stevenson, and many other people that helped out. The Queens is going to be premiering at OkCine Latino on April 23rd as well. You know, remember what I told you about making a film
I
festival to show
like
my
it.
films?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You know,
Maybe that's what I need to do, right? I'm never gonna win a Grammy, so maybe I
exactly.
need to
I
make
know.
the Mavericks.
Exactly, exactly. You have to do the Maverick Awards.
There you go. I like it.
And so yeah, so Queens is a short film that we've been it's been like 3 years in the making,
Wow.
and the score was made by Benji Rodriguez Nervaez, an amazing musician. I love Benji; he's amazing. And we were actually just talking about the other day about his work process, and it's amazing to see a musician. You know, he's a much better musician than I'll ever be. Of course, you know, he plays guitar, bass, drums, keys, keyboards, and I had so much fun with Victor and Benji doing the scoring of Queens. And when he caught me, it's like I always been a big fan of his work. And one day he sent me I think I just I wanted to work with him for so many years, and
Yeah.
I like to have a different composer for all my films, and I've been wanting to work with Benji for many years, and I got a hold of him, and I told him, hey, I want to work with you. Send me some of your stuff. I would love to hear your stuff. So he sent me like a SoundCloud link, and I
Cool.
just fell in love with all his music, especially one song called "Donde está mi socorro," and it was just amazing. It was wow. I was like, yeah, this is our composer for Queens,
I like
because
it.
Queens is a it tells the story of a female assassin group of assassins, all Latinas, you know, kicking butt, and and a futuristic kind of like end of the world type thing.
Cool.
It's sort of a action trailer with a lot of fights, and of course, you know, we had no budget, and so all the actors did their own stunts, and so that was fun.
Awesome.
We had some uh, choreographs, choreography people that came out and helped us.
For the fight
Riker, Six
scenes?
Killer, the fight scenes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and we also had an intense, you know, rehearsal for the girls, you know, because they had to do their own stunts. You know, there's some scenes where they're fighting dudes, and so you know, it's very intense, you know, and
Wow.
they all did it, and they were amazing, you know. long hours, in the sand, with no stunt doubles and doing their own
Nice.
makeup too. So, because we can't afford, to pay makeup people.
Yeah.
So yeah, Queens is going to be premiering April 23rd at the OkCine Latino Film Festival. And then that same weekend, we're also premiering Queens at Bare Bones Film Festival in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
And then the weekend after that, we're also got accepted into another film festival, Twister Alley Film Festival in Woodward,
Dude,
Oklahoma.
awesome.
So Queens is already off to a good start. We're
Cool.
really excited, really happy for it. And I'm just, waiting for the pandemic to kind of die down a little bit so that we can kind of go back into actual, filmmaking. There's a couple projects that me and Victor are been already started. There's another film in the works that he directed, and I was the director of photography. It's called Defiance, and that should be coming out also by the end of this year. And then there's a feature film that's in the works with Victor as well. And so, yeah, we have a lot of
Lots of
projects, man. It's just
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's not in our side.
Yeah, no, I like it. So if people want to watch Queens, if there's nowhere to watch it, you have to go to the festival. So that should be incentive enough, right? Like you want to be there and say, I was the first one to watch Queens before it became cool, right? It's kind of like when you hear a band before it comes cool, like, yeah, I knew about them.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew. I knew about Bunny when he came to OK Corral back in
exactly.
Right.
I like it. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. It sounds like,
thank you.
It's off to a great start, like you said. And I definitely want to invite everybody to check out the film festival because, you're doing such a great job and you're giving back to the community at the same time. So, man, I think Oklahoma's off to a great start. There's a lot of like incentives for people to come produce films here too now, right? Like,
exactly.
There's like incentives.
Oklahoma is one of the, if not the number one or number two state in the U.S. that offers the biggest tax break. So like if you come in film and you spend over, I think, $50,000 and up to $5 million, the state basically pays you back up to 34% or 37% of what you spend on the state.
And I've heard that Oklahoma has like every terrain that you would want. Is that true?
It's very true, yeah. And I've experienced that, through a lot of my music videos. I've shot in a lot of Little Sahara, in the salt plains. I mean, in mountains, lakes. It's got it all.
Cool, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm excited when I heard about all those incentives, and then you see like you said, the Cox Convention Center sort of being repurposed for a studio. Like it's awesome. Like it's growing, and I think it was much needed because there for a while, it was thought that if you want to make movies, if you want to be an actor or actress, you have to go to California. You have to go, to Hollywood. But I don't think that's the case anymore, right?
Not anymore.
I like it. Cool, man. Well, I think, we've talked about the majority of the projects. Is there anything else that you want to shout out or anything you want to sort of bring up?
I just want to shout out to DJ Maverick, DJ Maverick for being cool and for being awesome and for this amazing, podcast that you started. I think it's great. I've listened to all of your guests and they're amazing. And I just love your work. I love seeing you, when we get to work together on events, and it's amazing. I love this collaboration and then just being you, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a big honor, of course, always, working with you. And I think probably the last thing I'm going to ask you is someone that wants to go into movie making or to be an actor or actress, like what are some of the tips that you would give them? And then opposite of that, what is something that you think you need to be successful that most people don't agree with? So maybe like your special sauce that you would recommend for people.
Yeah, so the first one, I would say I would always recommend them to just go for it. Don't stop at anything. Like if you want to start making a YouTube channel or if you want to start a podcast or just about anything in life, just go ahead and do it. Always, take that first step, in filmmaking, we talked about, having your phone in your pocket, start, playing with the apps. There's a lot of free editing apps, start taking video, landscape or portrait if you're going on Instagram, and just start editing. Just start editing on your phone, and definitely never stop, never look back. Take that first step and never look back. And secondly, I think everyone everyone has their own special sauce. I think everyone has their own their own ideas, their own personality. So always stick to that. Stick to your identity. Start if you're a filmmaker, write about the things that you know and the things that are close to you. It's like me. I'm not gonna write like a space odyssey. You know, I'm gonna write something that's related to my field or something that I'm passionate about. Like thrillers, drama. I love a lot of in the independent, contemplate long films, that are about a lot of storytelling. So it's always about to me. It's always about the storytelling. So always stick to what you know. Stick to the things that you're passionate about, and I think you're gonna be okay.
Cool. Awesome. That's great advice. Shout out your Instagram and all your social media once again. That way people be sure to follow this guy, because you want to definitely know, hey, I knew Rogelio before he blew up. That way, whenever he blows up, and we can all go to the big festivals and we'll party it up in Hollywood.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Rogelio Almeida 1, and then social media, Facebook, it's Rogelio Almeida Jr. And of course, the film festival, it's Oklahoma Cine Latino Film Festival, and Instagram OkCine Latino, and Twitter OkCine Latino.
Awesome.
And so yeah, we're everywhere.
Cool. All right, guys, be sure to check out the festival. It's right around the corner. You don't want to miss it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Maverick Podcast. Rogelio, thanks for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, just chill till the next episode.